Hello and welcome to the channel. Actually, I should have said, ciao belli, welcome to the channel. How are you today? Exciting time, again. Today we have a new gimbal by Zhiyun, the Crane 4E, also called Cinepeer Crane 4E. I'm gonna start today by showing you a video I have made for a client, filmed entirely on the Crane 4E. Check it out.
We are Lunar Lighting. We make small ceramic porcelain tea light holders. I'm Tom, or behind you is Poppy, my sister, and Namiko, our studio manager. Mum named it for the light of fireflies in Tuscany. She lived in Italy when she was younger. She never wanted to take the fairy lights down after Christmas. So Poppy and I have been working for Lunar Lighting since we were kids, more or less. We were roped in pretty regularly, but this Winter Open Studios 2024 will be the year anniversary for us running it after we took over. Our Open Studios is on the 21st to 24th of November, and we are located in Cockpit Arts, which is in Holborn, London. And this studios is home to about 100 different crafters and artists, all working on different projects, working in different fields, and it will be full of beautiful Christmas pieces, gifts for people, or just art if you want to just come and see what this country has to offer. Our website is lunarlighting.co.uk, and our name on all social media platforms is Lunar Lighting.
I hope you enjoyed that. Entirely filmed on the Crane 4E Cinepeer by Zhiyun. I would say this is a new version of the Crane 4, which came out last year, a couple of years ago, I can't remember well, which I have reviewed and for which I have made a full tutorial for beginners. So if you want to learn how to balance your camera, how to start your gimbal and everything else, go and check that video because this gimbal is exactly the same. So what are we going to do today then? We're going to test it, and I tested it actually during the video you've seen at the beginning of this vlog. We're going to review it and I'm going to give you my opinion on it. As you can see by these images, the Crane 4E looks exactly the same of the Crane 4, and actually it performs exactly the same as well. I asked Zhiyun what are the main differences, and apparently there's a more affordable version compared to the Crane 4. What I have noticed, and probably that's why this is a more affordable version, is that the Crane 4E Cinepeer has less details, let's put it that way, compared to the Crane 4. For example, the Crane 4 has some lights around each motor, which the Crane 4E doesn't have. Also, the Crane 4 has a rubber band around the arm right there, which is not very important, but it gives a bit more, quality in terms of look, at least in my opinion. The Crane 4 has an actual CCT light right here on the tilting arm, basically, and the Crane 4E doesn't have any light. But also, the Crane 4 was coming with different combos, and the one I had came with the case, an extra handle, and also a wrist support. Now, I'm making this video before the actual production and before this gimbal is out on the market, so I'm not sure if it comes with different combos as well, but definitely the Crane 4 came with those options and it gave you more than the version I have right here of the Cinepeer Crane 4E. By the way, you can find all the links of the Crane 4E and the Crane 4 in the description tab down here. So if you want to purchase it, go and check it out on Amazon or on the Zhiyun website too. All right, standard review for now. What's in the box? And this is actually the box the gimbal came with, no cases, as you can see. You will get the Cinepeer Crane 4E with your plates, your mounting plates. You will get also two cables, one charging cable and one USB-C to USB-C to connect your camera to the gimbal. Also, you will get a small tripod, and that's it. Let's go through the build and the body of our Zhiyun Cinepeer Crane 4E. And first of all, I want to say it's really well built. If you had the Crane 4, again, it's exactly the same. We've got some aluminum, bit of plastic around the body, but it doesn't feel cheap at all. And it's very solid and sturdy actually when you use it, which is great. We're going to talk about it at the end. So let's start from the handle. Of course, we have an internal battery right there. We have a couple of rosette mounts here on the sides of the gimbal to which you can attach, for example, a handle or a wrist support. And that's a good thing. If you had previously the Crane 4, you can use your handle and wrist support because it's exactly the same body. We have a charging port, USB-C. Underneath the gimbal, we have a 1/4 inch screw thread to, as you can see, attach your gimbal to a tripod or a stand or even a quick release plate. We have a touchscreen display, digital display. You can go through the settings and all that jazz. We have a joystick that you can use to control your gimbal. We have a mode button to change all the different modes of your gimbal and a rec button, which can be used when you connect your camera to the gimbal via the cable, as I am doing right now. On the other side, we will find a control wheel. Now, this is a customizable button. You can give different settings to this wheel. At the moment, I can control my ISO of the camera. So without touching the camera, I can do so through this wheel. There's a power button, of course, and at the front, we have a trigger button. You go in selfie mode if you want to. You put your gimbal to the default position. And then we have a second setting wheel. Again, customizable. You can link this wheel to different settings. In this case, I have the tilt settings of the gimbal. So as you spin, you can literally control that. On the arms, on each arm, you have a lock, which is amazing to balance your gimbal. Basically, when you balance your gimbal, we have a USB-C port again on the tilting arm, which connects your camera, and you can control your camera via these electronics here. And that's all. The dimensions and the weight of the gimbal. So it's basically 34 centimeters tall, it's 28.7 centimeters wide, and it's 7 centimeters deep, let's put it that way. The weight is 1.63 kilograms. Battery life, as I mentioned, we have an internal battery here in the handle, inside the handle. To charge the battery entirely can take up to 2 hours, and the battery can last 12 hours, depending on how you use your gimbal, of course. Something I want to mention is that you can use your gimbal as a power bank for your camera. So when you connect your camera to the electronics of the gimbal will charge your battery of the camera. In terms of payload, so what can you mount here? And I'm sure you guys are going to write me a few comments on how can I use my camera? Can I use my Canon? I'm not sure, right? So the payload wasn't listed on my specifications of the gimbal yet. So if you want some clarification about that, I advise you to get in touch with Zhiyun. What I can tell you by my experience in testing this gimbal right now is that I used it with a Sony a7R III, but also a Sony FX3 without any cage or anything. And I tried different lenses, kit lenses, zoom lenses, including 16-35 f2.8 G Master Mark II by Sony. Same G Master Mark II, but 24-70. And also this kit lens, which is a 24-240 millimeters f3.5 6.3. Now, the interesting thing here is that I have tested this lens with full zoom in, so with the barrel out. Look at that. without even rebalancing the gimbal, it can hold it perfectly. And I have used it during the initial video you have seen for this review. Look at this, right? As I mentioned, I haven't even rebalanced the gimbal. So what I recommend to do, of course, if you use this lens and you zoom in and out, is to rebalance and recalibrate your gimbal every time, because I can hear the motor is struggling, but still it can hold it like perfectly. Look at that. So that's what I can say about the Payload so far. Modes, the gimbal covers all the standard modes, and let's have a look just to make sure. So we have the pan follow, we got the lock mode, follow mode, POV, go mode, and vortex, which is also the inception mode. But here we also have a portrait mode. What does that mean? So when you go on the portrait mode, your gimbal will be facing horizontally. Again, if you want to check all the different modes and what they do, go and check my previous tutorial on the Crane 4. For the price, because it will change with time, I'm just going to drop a link in the description tab where you can find the gimbal and check the current price right there. Let's get to the conclusion and what I think about the Cinepeer Crane 4E. I think it's a great gimbal. If you had a Crane 4, there is no need to upgrade or to buy the Cinepeer Crane 4E. Literally, there's no need. Actually, I think you get more with the Crane 4 because of the things we talked about in the intro of this video. Still, it's a very solid one. I was shocked when I was using the 24-240 lens zoomed in without even rebalancing my gimbal, and I could take shots right away. The key thing for a gimbal, of course, is the stabilization. That's why you should buy a gimbal, nothing else, not because they have lights, rubber bands, and all these little extra details, right? So in terms of stability, again, it works really, really well. Check this clip. I was following my godson along this corridor. I wasn't running, but I was walking very fast, probably without even looking at the image too much, and the results were great. It works really well out of the camera. What I love of these gimbals as well are the customizable buttons. Again, I can control my camera directly through the gimbal, the settings, the recording button, without touching the camera and risking to unbalance the device on top of the gimbal. And also it's very uncomfortable, to be fair, holding your gimbal with one hand and, you know, changing the settings in the camera. Bear in mind also, these gimbals are not light. They sound light, but when you actually use them for even 10-15 minutes in a row, usually they kill my back and my neck. And that's why, again, honestly, I'm not using gimbals that much, because I prefer to do handheld. I have more control as well of the camera, and it simply is not good for my body unless you have an easy rig, which I recommend to buy if you do a lot of gimbal work. I hope this video helped out. This is what I think about the Zhiyun CRANE 4E Cinepeer. Great gimbal once again by the brand. Go and check them out on the Zhiyun website and in the description tab down here. I hope you subscribe and you will be part of my community. Hit the like button, and I will see you in the next one.